Hey everybody, welcome back to Random Chatter. This is a milestone episode for us. This is episode number 350, which we know it's more than that because we've had versions of this show.
We've had entire
changes, but whatever.
seasons.
So let's just go with 350, and we'll be there. We are going to do something special for this 350th episode.
The absence of Tim.
That's true.
You know, we get a lot of user requests, a lot of audience feedback
for Tim-free shows.
Yeah. Yeah, and we thought, well, it's a big milestone episode, so why don't we do something special for people? And Tim was just here like a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we just tossed him. Tim was talking about that right click on somebody's picture and, you know, drop from call. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, ask and
it works really well.
Shall receive. Thank you. Well, you know, Lou, what kind of computer you have?
I got a Mac.
Got a Mac? Me too.
Yeah.
I've got a Mac too. What does Tim have?
Too, yeah. I think he's got a Windows machine.
Oh. So when he was talking about his screen being blue, I mean, I've got a nice blue background on my Mac screen. I'm guessing the blue screen he was talking about that.
Yeah, probably not the background. Yeah, no. So sorry, Tim, you couldn't be here with us to cover Black Widow, but you will cover that on your show, Guardians of the MCU. They record that on Monday, I think, right? So they post them Tuesdays, I believe. Yes. So so they're going to go into in-depth, full spoiler show on that one, talking about
in-depth analysis.
Yep, and we're going to cover this on a future episode of Movie Chatter as well.
In-depth analysis.
We wanted to be timely to give you a quick little, review of what we thought so far on this movie.
I do want to point out that Movie Chatter. We like to break things down, but really the Marvel experts, check out Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, they're gonna know a lot
Guardians
more
of the Galaxy. Guardians of the MCU. Also check out Guardians of the Galaxy, which happens to be my favorite MCU movie. So yeah,
it's a good one. So yeah, it's a good choice.
So and apologies for messing up their name though. I'll pimp out their T-shirt. Yeah. So go to randomchatter.com/store and pick up a Guardians of the MCU T-shirt, and then take a picture of yourself wearing it and post it to the Escape Hatch Discord server, randomchatter.com/escape hatch, and then
show your love.
Tim will point out how much he loves you.
He's got a restraining order in some states.
He does. So. Let us know what state you're in first.
So anyways, how many times have you seen the movie now, Eric? Have you seen
I just saw it the one time.
Once or twice? Just
once.
Well, it's fair enough. It only came out Friday.
Yeah,
so
and I've been catching up on actually some of the things we talked about in the last episode, Leverage, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, stuff like that. So I will watch it again before we cover it on Movie Chatter, because we are going to be doing a spoiler-filled in-depth analysis then. This, I think, is just going to be a quick episode where we talk about what we thought. Sure. Is it worth the $30 for you to watch it on Disney Plus if you haven't already? I think that's a big question a lot of people have. It is a good question, right? Because now we're back in the theater. In fact, I know we're back in the theaters now because I am a member of the Cinemark, I forget what they call it, the membership movie thing. And they hit me for my July payment. Oh, you better get out there.
Oh, we're doing that again. We're doing that because I hadn't had a payment since March of 2020.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what's this charge? I'm like, oh, that's open again. Okay.
Don't let MoviePass know. They'll start charging people again too.
Aren't they defunct now?
They have. Yes, they have been. But they were before and still charge people. So, who knows?
Right. So that's a good question though. I mean, $29.99 is the premiere access on Disney Plus. Gives you access to watch it as many times as you want. Is there an end date on that, or is it just? I know it said
so. It's
open until October, I think, when regular access comes to Disney Plus for Black Widow.
So if you don't want to pay for it, you will get it as part of your Disney Plus subscription in October. I forget the exact date, but if you do pay for it now, and a lot of people are wondering that too, because if you've never done this before on HBO Max with Wonder Woman and some other things, they would release it as part of their subscription for 30 days, and then they would pull it. And then it would go through the normal distribution channels. With this, once you pay that $30, you have it indefinitely.
Okay. And that's a big selling point for me too, because you can watch it a couple times here and there.
There's always some things you miss and you want to pause it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm going through it a second time now with subtitles, so I can make sure I get, names and that kind of stuff. And it's funny. I was watching part of it this morning, and there's a joke in the first probably 15, 20 minutes of the pronunciation of a European city.
Yep.
And it's really loses something in subtitles. So if you were hearing impaired and just reading the subtitles, you're like, why are they saying the name like
over
8 times? Because they don't
over again.
differentiate the spelling of how you would think it.
Right.
It's like, okay. So yeah, some of the gags lose their stuff when you do them in subtitles. But so I'm watching it a second time now with subtitles on, just to kind of pick up stuff I may have missed, maybe a word here or there. But
what was your
anticipation?
Before you say too much, what was your anticipation level going into it? Because I mean, we've got to spoil the Avengers Endgame stuff, and most of our listeners, you're probably Marvel fans. You've probably seen all of them. I actually know of a few listeners, at least one, who hasn't seen all of them. So skip ahead like 30 seconds, maybe. But this character is no longer with us in the MCU. And this is set prior to the events of Infinity War and Endgame. And some people are like, is it too little too late? Like, should they have, I believe they should have swapped the Captain Marvel movie and this movie around and had that come out first. And they meant to have it come out earlier because, pandemic and all that. But what was your anticipation level going into this?
I like the character of Black Widow.
Okay.
I think Scarlett Johansson does a great job with her. Yeah. And I really wanted to see it for that reason alone. Did it matter to me that I know the outcome of the character? No, I think it's kind of like called a Titanic thing where we know the ship sinks. We're still going to watch the movie anyways. So I was happy to see it. I'm glad it finally came out. I think you're right, though. It would have been better if it came out in place of Captain Marvel and shown it then, where it's, before the events of, her demise. How about you?
I kind of felt like the Marvel universe has been upping the stakes on the power levels, and the first Avengers movie, it was about saving the world, and then you get all the way up to Endgame where it's about saving all of reality, and now we're back with people who punch and kick and shoot little guns. Not that it's a bad movie, but it's a different type of movie. So you've got, and this has always kind of been a thing with Marvel Comics, right? You've got the galactic and cosmic powered heroes, and then you've got people like Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Black Widow and Hawkeye kind of fall into that, highly trained, non-powered sort of superhero thing.
They're just mere humans.
Right,
yep.
Right. So, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But having just gotten done watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I kind of feel like we were doing the same thing with a different character. Like we just saw that, and now here's a movie version of what was basically that same thing. And again, that's okay. But I wasn't super excited going in. I was looking forward to it. I was happy to sit down and to start to watch it. It's all good. Like I had no complaints, but it was hard for me to get really excited about this character. And when I was reading the comics and stuff too, she was always in a group of characters where it was hard to utilize her in the same way that, cause she always hung out with the Avengers. And I was first introduced to her through Captain America comics. And it's not that she's in over her head, but again, Thor and Iron Man and
she's not in the same level.
And so to be fair to the writers, how do you write that character in a way that's interesting? And the MCU has done exactly that. But still, like I knew it would be a good movie, but
okay. I mean, and I think that's fair because, we're dealing with someone who's not superpowered.
Right.
It's just like you said, a highly trained operative, and it's good. It's really good when it comes down to what she does.
Oh, yeah.
But I was more interested in the whole backstory and what's happening, and her training, I guess you'd say. And they left a lot of that not told, I guess you'd say. I mean, not any better way
I was wondering if we were going to get flashbacks and stuff, and we really didn't.
Right. we had that a little bit in the title sequence where they did that. That was supposed to be your, kind of 80s music montage of her training and what happens with her. Yeah. But I thought the character development was good. Now again, I'll say that I come from the background of, I don't have all the comic background that say Tim does in this, and I'm not sure what your level of background was with the her comics back in the day. But
I never read hers. I started out actually reading Captain America, and then that got me into Avengers. And then later on, I picked up X-Men, and then I really got into X-Men. But I've had some experience with her, some experience with Taskmaster. Not so much with, what was it, Red Guardian? Mm-hmm. But I've got a working familiarity with the comic book version of the character and most of the storyline. So for me, this movie was a really good example of, staying true to the MCU, of doing the characters, a little bit of comedy, a lot of action, and yet telling a good story along the way. Yeah, I thought they hit all those points really well and gave me something that I was happy with at the end. Yeah. Especially for characters I had no real knowledge of. I think besides Black Widow. Well, and they did a good job of you not, and they typically do, of you not needing to know much about the characters going into it. They did a good job of introducing the various characters, including Taskmaster. I actually wish we had gotten to see even more of Taskmaster, because that character can be a very, very formidable adversary. But yeah, the humor was really good. Especially the Red Guardian. Oh, the actor's name. I always just think of him as Hopper, chief of police from Stranger Things, to the point where I keep forgetting his real name, because every time I remember it, I'm like, I'm not going to forget it this time. Then I'm talking to my son about Stranger Things, and it's Hopper. So, but anyway, he was, he's good in everything he's in, but he was phenomenal in this. He played the role perfectly. And the humor, especially with his character, I thought was spot on. And it brought a lot of levity to what otherwise would have been a pretty dark movie. And it managed to keep it from getting too dark. And somebody in the Escape Hatch Discord server mentioned it brought about a good sense of the family dynamics. Yeah. It was, even though they weren't a family per se, but they were, posing as one, being Russian spies in the U.S. back in, was it 90s, late 90s is what this was supposed to be? Yeah. When they were, when they were young. I think. Yeah. So it felt good that way. And the comedy of the father was good. David Harbour did a great job with that, but also, see, that's the thing. Hopper. That's what, close, that's what messes me up. Okay. The interaction between her and her sister were really good. Yeah. And I don't remember that actress's name, but I loved the ribbing they gave each other about different stuff. The whole thing about posing when you do landing and stuff. Yeah. It's like it was almost reminiscent of the whole Deadpool. Oh, here it comes, superhero landing. Here it comes. Yeah. Yeah. I liked the wittiness of the dialogue and the writing. I thought that. So again, we're going to cover more analysis on Movie Chatter, which is going to be this Tuesday night at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you want to come hang out with us in the live chat, it's and speaking of live chat, I was looking at you and not looking at it down here, and Joe said, "Yeah, David Harbour." So I feel like an idiot now, but anyway, without getting too much into spoilers and stuff, what was that? Well, I was going to say, we started that on top of that. We totally glossed over was the whole thing about whether it's worth the $30 or not. And we had this discussion with Tom on Force Chatter before he had to take off. $30 to see it on your TV at home versus going to the theater. And I looked at ticket prices. I thought about going to see it in the theaters. It was like $15.50 to see it in the big screen theater at my local theater. I'm like, so if my wife and I go, we're paying more to see it there than we would at home. And we're still not 100% comfortable with going to the theater yet. And plus you've got people and more food and, Right.
So, I mean, if you're going to go with somebody else, you're going to spend $30 anyways to see it in the theater.
Here's my counterpoint to that. So I was expecting that I would tell people, spend the $30, see it on Disney Plus, stay home. And I want to preface this by saying, listen, the pandemic thing, that, you know, it's a real thing. You do what you need to do. Okay. I'm vaccinated. I'm single. And I have a theater here that does reserve seating and puts like all the way around you, keeps other people out. And I know the times of day to go. Like the last 2 times I was at that theater, which are the only 2 times since getting vaccinated, there were like 4 people in the theater total, both times, including me. Like, I know what times of day to go. And now, and I'm still within that 6-month thing where, you know, it's pretty solid that we're not going to need the booster thing. The booster, if it happens, great. You know, this fall, I'm actually a little more worried than I am at the moment. But you do what you need to do to stay safe. The pandemic's no joke, and movies aren't worth putting yourself at risk. So you need to evaluate your own level of risk. Okay. That being said, I regret seeing it at home. Because there were some things about the structure of the story where I found it way too easy to get distracted by my phone, the other things I wanted to get done this weekend, getting Discord messages, things like that. And I managed to not distract myself too much with things. But between the environment of being in a theater and, you know, the better sound system. I don't have a great sound system. I've got a decent TV. Sound system is not great. I regret not seeing it in a theater because I think I would have been more engaged in the movie and it would have felt more immersive and I would have been more invested in the film. And so I think I would have paid attention more. I would have been singularly focused. And I was not singularly focused watching it at home. And I think that this movie, because it is not, I mean, look, the last Marvel movies we got, if you don't count Spider-Man Far From Home, Endgame and Infinity War. This is not Endgame. This is not Infinity War. No. Okay. It's a good movie.
Those were epic.
But it's not those two. So yeah, I think having the focus of being in a theater people may find that more of a benefit this time around because it's not, ironically, because it's not Infinity War or Endgame. It almost makes it so that it will help you focus better if it's in a theater.
And I know we've had that question before come up where we talk about at home versus theater, and you definitely are more susceptible to distractions at home.
Yeah.
This time watching this, though, we kind of made an appointment to do it, and it was date night, and we kind of that's all we did. My phone wasn't on me. I did really well watching it, not being distracted, which is unusual because at home, you're right, you have all those things close to you, and you're like, oh yeah, let me check my phone. It's a lull. In the first half hour or 45 minutes of this movie, I thought were pretty slow. Yeah. As far as the build up, getting into it, it wasn't really like, okay, come on, where's the next, what's going to happen here? You know what I mean? It was slow for me, at least.
Yeah. We'll talk, I want to talk a little bit about the pacing when we get to movie chatter. Maybe you can help remind me of that. You know, to what you were just saying, it's interesting because when I'm sitting with another person watching at home, I don't get as distracted. So what you were talking about, like making a date night out of it and stuff like that, that makes sense. But when you're single, I'm finding, you don't feel accountable to anybody. You don't feel guilty about pulling out your phone. Nobody's looking. Like if you get a text message, you can pause the movie and nobody's going to say, hey, what are you doing? I'm watching that. You know? So I think that's a factor for people too. I would say, like, if you're single or if you're not going to be watching it with your significant other, you may want to go to the theater to see it because it's not as jaw-dropping
as do a watch together. Because I mean, the watch together thing has become really popular.
You know, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
It's a nice way to do it. Yeah.
I guess that would work on the Disney Plus, the premium stuff too. I'd never tried it on a premium.
As long as you both have it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Because actually, Sharon and I and Tim and Robin did a watch together the other night to see it.
Well, why didn't you invite me, you buttheads?
I don't know. It wasn't it. I'm sorry.
See, folks, this is why when your two best friends are married and then you get divorced, you don't get included in any of the cool stuff anymore. Like I just need to go like find a neighbor down the street or something and invite them over. And I got to tell Tim and Lou, hey, this is my new wife. And then I'll get invited to stuff again.
Just get a cardboard cutout. Or
that might go better than most of my dates.
It's a family show. I will say that.
Now, Lou, I may be desperate, but not that desperate. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell Tim. This is not something I normally talk about on any of the shows, but online dating.
Oh boy.
So I spent a little bit of time on the site that I used today. One recommendation, so based on like the percentage of match thing. And I live just outside the DC area for people keeping track. I got one recommendation in Raleigh, North Carolina. I got one in Erie, Pennsylvania. One in Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
And then want to take a guess as to how many I got in the New York City area?
I should have think.
I stopped counting at 34 in Manhattan alone.
Does it know where you live?
Yes.
Did you tell it?
Yes, and I set a radius.
No?
And there's just nobody here, Lou.
Well, you need to move, Eric.
If I don't set on the percentage of match thing, yeah, I can get people around here that are like a 70% match and stuff. But like if I want a 90% or more, yeah. Philadelphia is about the closest I get. Sometimes Baltimore, sometimes downtown DC, but it takes like 6 hours to get into DC from here. So, yeah. So cardboard cutout. And then you can start inviting me to these movie watch-alongs, Lou. My gosh, I hope you feel guilty as hell right now.
I do.
I hope
feel
so.
very guilty.
I'm just messing with you.
I
think that, I think it's worth the money to see it. How you want to see it probably depends on your circumstances. But yeah, it's interesting. I do regret not seeing it in the theater because I think I would have paid more attention.
You know, it's funny because this is the kind of movie that I would normally see in a theater. You know, we talked about that in the past of, seeing a drama or an action movie. You want to see those action movies in a theater. But some of the action special effects didn't really work for me. I mean, like, and it was in the trailer too, the whole thing of her, swinging on the rope below the helicopter with the fire behind it. I'm like, that doesn't look all that accurate. But
again, I think we're getting
more magnified
spoiled.
as a glaring issue on the big screen in the theater.
Yeah, I don't think really compared to a lot of the other more effects heavy Marvel films, I don't think it's a must see in the theater. In fact, if you are not single or if you are single and you're disciplined enough to not get distracted by things, see it at home. I think you'll get more out of watching it multiple times and enjoying it. Because you're probably going to want to watch it again in between now and October.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I regret it not because of the effects, but more so again the focus, and I think the soundtrack, the immersion, the audio mixing. There are other factors I think that that make a difference. But yeah, it's not like. This isn't a must see in the theater. It's a must see, but it's not a must see in the theater.
Right.
So, anyway, we're running a little bit long, I guess, but
yeah, I think we're about at the end of this for this discussion at least. Yeah. Tune into Guardians of the MCU this week for their in-depth review, and also check us out when we bring Robin in and talk about this on
Movie Chatter. Yeah, maybe we'll get Tim on the show there too.
Sure.
Yeah, both of those are going to be more analysis and an actual breakdown of the movie and a discussion of the specifics of what worked, what didn't, and why we feel the way we feel about it. So, but that's it. Thank you for hanging out with us on our 350th episode. That is not actually our 350th episode. It's probably closer to like 450 or 500, probably 500-ish. We have some missing episodes in our vault. And yes, we actually do have a vault. I don't know if it's still publicly linked or not. I'll have to fix that if it's not. I've got links to episodes from 2005. If anybody's interested, hit us up in the Discord server. Go to randomchatter.com/escape hatch. We're over there on that server. And you can always email us, randomchatter@randomchatter.com. But go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. Hit the subscribe and like button. And that little bell button will give you notifications when we go live, when we post new episodes. And, you don't actually have to watch us. If you just want to listen on YouTube, that's fine too. Just start it up, put your phone down, do whatever you're going to do.
That's right.
Yeah. That's going to be it. So Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's, I think, GMT -4 for you international folks. And we will talk more about the movie then. And be sure to catch Guardians of the MCU.